My name is Dr. Pamela Scott. I am a licensed clinical social worker, and I'm employed at one of the local medical centers. And I also have a small business in which I provide social services and therapeutic interventions as well. I grew up in a home where breastfeeding was a common practice. I have an aunt who breastfed all of her children. She raised myself and my sisters from early childhood, and so it was just a normal thing. And we really didn't even see a whole lot of baby bottles. We just knew that that's where milk came from, and it wasn't until we got older and start going out and being exposed to more things and realizing, okay, there's other ways that people feed children. So it was just the norm in the household that I grew up in. You know, it's one thing to see something and think that, okay, I want to do that, but then it's another thing to actually have the skills and the knowledge to actually do those things yourself. So I thought I was just going to do it because it looks that easy. You put the baby to the breast and they nurse, they know what to do. But I found out really quickly that that wasn't it. You have to know how to hold the baby properly, a position that's comfortable for you. I learned which hold was comfortable for me, and that happened to be the football hold. Latching, making sure I had a proper latch so that the baby could nurse properly, and then so that I would be able to nurse most comfortably as well, experience less pain as possible. So those were two of the initial challenges. I think one of the biggest challenge, and what I hear a lot of moms talking about as well, is having to go back to school or work and really stopping breastfeeding because they don't know how to navigate that outside of the home. So if you ask women, why did I stop breastfeeding? I had to go back to school or work. So I was determined to continue to breastfeed even after I went back to work. And that was a challenge, being able to find time to do it, a place to do it, and then just having employers that were understanding of my need to do that and being understanding of the time that it would take. So I actually did conduct a study with 100 young Black women. The literature supports that the majority of Black women that do not breastfeed are within the ages of around 20 to 30. So number one, it shows that lack of exposure. If you don't see people doing it, modeling this type of behavior, it's not something that you would just automatically do unless you were exposed to it. And so what we found in the study was that a lot of the women said that they had not seen anybody or did not know anybody who did it. And then, like I said, if they did decide to do it, there were issues with knowing how to continue to breastfeed. The literature talks about how women nursed out of necessity at one point. And so you'll see that there is a time period where our women, or just women in general, stopped breastfeeding as much. One thing I did find was that introducing solids earlier on and nipple confusion, things like that. So I think that it's really just exposure, knowing that the size of a baby's tummy and that a baby's cry doesn't necessarily mean they're not getting enough breast milk. A lot of women feel like they're not producing enough milk, and then you have those outside influences saying, why are you nursing that baby so much? Thinking that, oh, if I have to nurse my baby so frequently, it must be because they're not getting enough milk, when in actuality, a baby's tummy is so small, they're going to nurse frequently because their tummy can only hold so much, and it's just a natural thing. And it's wonderful how our bodies and our babies work harmoniously together, because with them nursing frequently, they're teaching our bodies to make more milk. So it's just misconception, myths, and then just it being something that's acceptable, socially acceptable amongst our culture. There's a resurgence of interest in breastfeeding amongst women in general, but specifically African American women. And I'll say this, the challenges of nursing, being a student as well as a working woman, it kind of diverted my attention to that problem. And it was definitely a problem because it was so hard just to do it, and it was somewhat embarrassing sometimes, having to ask for space, always being the one tipping out the room, and you don't really want people to know what you're going to do, and then all the questions, and then of course those negative comments about why are you still breastfeeding the baby, and you still doing that, and all that kind of stuff. So it was enough to make me mad, and I got mad enough to want to do something about it. And so I became a big advocate for breastfeeding. I wanted to normalize it, and as I became more familiar with it, I wanted to share this information with other women because it's so natural, it should be so normal, and it should not be so hard for us to do something that our bodies are naturally able to do. And that it's so healthy, so beneficial for the baby, beneficial for us as moms. And I was just mad. So that's what I focused my research on. And then I started taking opportunities in the community to speak about it, promote breastfeeding, and then informally supporting other women in their breastfeeding journeys as well. I had a doula this last time, and I think I shared with you that this last baby that we had, our baby boy, he was unexpected, and we thought that we were through. And I told myself, if I'm gonna do this again, I'm gonna do it my way. The ongoing support that she was able to provide, I think that if women had access to that information, it was readily available, I think the outcomes would be so much better. Even when you talked about the businesses, whether it's employers or just places that we patronize, we would definitely feel more comfortable going out and breastfeeding wherever, whether you feel like covering or not, but knowing that this is a place where you won't get those looks, where you won't be told to cover up, where you won't be told that, you're not allowed to do that here, just an environment where you feel safe and comfortable. Just knowing that you are not a burden, that I belong here, I'm doing a good thing, and I've got people and places that support me doing this, it's just the most wonderful feeling, because it's so, breastfeeding can be isolating, socially isolating. To just know that you're in a place that is accepted and it's okay, it really can, promote your outcomes of being more favorable. So as a breastfeeding mother, a business that supports breastfeeding is extremely important. To know that you have a place to go where it's acceptable, where you won't be looked down upon, where people won't think that you're doing something inappropriate, that means the world to a breastfeeding mom.